You've probably heard the term AI agents thrown around a lot, but what does it, actually mean? It sounds super complicated, but it's really not. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and actually build one together, starting from a super simple machine and leveling it up step by step into an AI that can truly learn. So, here's the game plan. First, we'll get the basics down. What even is an AI agent? Then we'll go through 4 major upgrades. We're going to start with a simple reactor, then move to a rememberer, a planner, and finally, the big one, a learner. Ready? Let's get started. All right, first things first. Before we can build anything fancy, we have to understand the absolute fundamental building block of all AI, and that is the agent. Okay, so what is an agent? Honestly, it's way simpler than it sounds. An agent is just anything that can sense its environment and then act on that environment. Think about it. A robot has cameras for sensors and wheels for actuators. Well, you have eyes and ears as your sensors, and your hands and feet are your actuators. It's really that simple. It's this constant, never-ending loop. Perceive the world, then do something. Perceive, act. That's the core of it all. And really, you can break any agent down into this super simple formula. You've got the architecture, that's the physical stuff, the hardware, the body, and then you've got the program, and that's the brain, the code, the part that actually makes the decisions. And as people who build AI, our entire job is to create that program, that brain. Okay, let's get our hands dirty. Time for our first build. This is our level 1 agent. The official name is the simple reflex agent, but I like to call it the reactor, because honestly, that's all it's capable of doing. It just reacts. This agent, well, it has the memory of a goldfish. Actually, scratch that. It has no memory at all. 0. It exists only in the present moment. Its decisions are based purely, and I mean purely, on what its sensors are telling it right now. What happened a second ago? Poof, gone, doesn't exist. The classic example here is one of those old basic robot vacuums. Its entire brain is just a bunch of simple if this, then that rules. Like, if sensor sees dirt, then turn on vacuum. If bumper hits wall, then turn around. It has no clue it was just in that same corner a minute ago. It's just reacting, trigger by trigger. So you can probably see the problem here, right? It's a pretty big one. What happens when that little vacuum gets stuck in a corner, just bumping back and forth, because it has no memory that it's been there before? Yeah, not very smart. To do anything even slightly more intelligent, our agent needs a major upgrade. It needs a memory. Okay, let's give our little guy that upgrade. Welcome to Level 2, the model-based agent. My nickname for this one is the Rememberer, and trust me, this is where our agent starts to get genuinely smart. So, what's the big difference? Well, our level 1 reactor was totally blind to history, right? The Rememberer, on the other hand, builds an internal model of the world. You can literally think of it like a little map inside its own head. A map it's constantly updating so it can keep track of stuff, even things it can't see right this second. Now, for this internal map to actually be useful, it has to track 2 really important things. First, it needs to understand how the world changes by itself, like another person walking into the room. But second, and this part is absolutely critical, it has to understand how its own actions change that world. It needs to know, if I move forward, my position on the map changes. This is the very beginning of something that looks a lot like self-awareness. So our agent can react and it can remember. That's a huge leap, but it's still kind of just drifting, responding to whatever is happening. To be truly intelligent, it needs more than memory. It needs a purpose. And that brings us to level 3, the planner. I mean, think about it. Just knowing where you are on a map doesn't tell you where to go. Should you turn left, right, straight? Without a destination, you're just wandering. So this is the stage where we give our agent a destination. We introduce the concept of goals. A goal-based agent does exactly what it sounds like. It takes that internal map of the world it has, and we give it a goal, like get to the kitchen. It can then look at its map and ask, okay, what's the series of moves I need to make to get from here to the kitchen? It's literally like your phone's GPS planning a route from point A to point B. It involves searching for the best path, but, just finding a way to get there isn't always the full story. What if there are 10 different ways to get to the kitchen? This is where the next little upgrade comes in, the utility-based agent. It doesn't just find a path, it finds the best path. And best can mean different things. Think about your GPS again. It doesn't just show you one route. It asks, do you want the fastest route? The shortest? The one that avoids highways?
Each of those options, speed, distance, cost, is a utility. The agent tries to find the path that gives you the most of what you want. That makes it a much smarter planner.
Okay, so let's take stock. We've built a pretty awesome agent now. It remembers things, it plans ahead to reach its goals, it can even pick the best way to do it. But what happens when we throw it a curveball? What if its map is wrong? Or what if we drop it into a totally new place it's never seen before? Suddenly, all that planning ability is useless. It needs one last, game-changing upgrade. And this brings us to the final boss, the pinnacle of our build. Level 4, the learning agent. This is the one that can adapt, the one that can improve, the one that can figure things out all on its own. Okay, the internal workings here get really, really cool. Imagine there's a little team of 4 experts working inside this AI's head. First, there's the performance element. That's basically the agent we've already built. It's the part that actually does stuff. But as soon as it does something, the critic jumps in. The critic is like a coach on the sidelines, yelling feedback. Was that good? Was that bad? Did we get closer to our goal? Then you have the learning element. This is the brains of the operation. It takes the coach's feedback and literally rewrites the playbook for the performance element, so it does better next time. And last, but maybe most important, you have the problem generator. This is the explorer, the risk taker. It tells the agent, hey, stop doing the same safe thing over and over. Try something new. See what happens. Because that's how you discover brand new, better ways of doing things. And that right there, that 4-part loop, is the secret sauce of modern AI. It's what allows an agent to be dropped into a situation it knows nothing about, and just by trying things and learning from its mistakes, eventually become an expert. It's not just following the rules anymore, it's writing its own rules. So there you have it. We've gone all the way from a machine that can only react to one that remembers, plans, and ultimately learns. And it kind of leaves you with this one big fascinating question, doesn't it? As these agents get better and better at learning from their own experience, at what point does the line between their original programming and their own unique life experience begin to blur? Just something to chew on.